Hey Ian, it's Nancy here, and here's your feedback on your poetry portfolio. First of all, I had a blast reading this. There was tons of really good, honest, gritty voice. You really have a lot of talent in that department. It was always interesting, and it was very frequently funny. You have a great sense of humor, and also an excellent eye for detail that you can pick out either the detail that's funny or the detail that's expressive. Really did a nice job with that. But as you can see, lots of little comments in response to what you're saying in your cover letter. And one of the things I really appreciated about this cover letter is its honesty, right? Saying, I'm just trying to find a way to write poetry without sounding like a douchebag. Totally cracked me up, right? And I know poetry gets a bad rap. I try to pick some poets for us to read who are, definitely not a bunch of guys writing about daffodils and shit. So that you can see, like, oh no, there's a lot more going on out there than what we might have gotten to read so far in school. Keeping it genuine, that's what you do, and I think you do it really well. I think it's going to stand you in good stead, as they say, in your fiction project as well. But lots of things in here show me that you really do have a lot of skill as a writer and the ability to write as much poetry as you want to, dude, and you'll never sound like a douchebag. Basically, I'm scanning the pages while I'm talking, and you can pause this at any time if you want to read the little marginal things. A check means, yes, good, I like it. You'll see some, proofreading things like Americans put the punctuation inside the quote marks. The Brits are the ones who put them on the outside, which is why it can look right to us, because we've read a lot of British literature here and there throughout our lives. And this last part, it's a good observation. It also makes me sad because I think all writing we could experience this way. All writing can be free of rules. If we're not being graded, suddenly we're free to experiment with things a little more, right? There isn't a set of rules that are absolutely, oh, this can't qualify as an essay because it doesn't. I suppose if it didn't use words, it couldn't be an essay, but then it would be music or dance or something else, right? We learn a lot by doing, and one of the ways teachers try to help us is by, giving us suggestions of what might make it easier to have it be clear, and all of that ends up being rules or feeling like rules when we're in school. But I think you could achieve that same freedom in any kind of writing. But anyway, I certainly do emphasize it for creative writing. This is a vivid one all the way through. Anytime you see parentheses around something in your portfolio, that means think about leaving it out. Just read it without that. It might be extraneous. You just don't need it. Sometimes it'll be around the ing verbs because I'm looking for ways to frequently looking for ways to turn those into active verbs. My dog's tail wags and thumps on everything in my house. Her happy face so humid it almost looks like a smile. Has a little more energy to it than my dog's tail wagging and thumping. The tree branches sway, the sun breaks. There's another example where you could think about moving away from the ing. Sometimes there are verbs like this where I go off to the side and I start brainstorming. Are there other, hit the forest floor? Okay, that might be exactly the right one, but you might mean it a whole bunch of different ways. Does it smack? Does it scratch? Does it buffet? There are so many words in your head, and I would play around with all the options before you make a final choice. Here I am with my ing phobia again. My friends laugh and smile, almost in tears from a stupid joke. Yeah, that's what friends are for, right? A sight that makes nothing else matter. I think we all need a little more of that in our lives. I like how you did this section poem as things that make us happy. We need to kind of remember, right? It's not all horrible. Our dog is still wagging his tail, for instance. The dream poem has some nice, nice word choices, mold and melt. And this funky line, this fun end at the end. So is the rabbit a prophecy or another universe? Who knows what's going on inside that dog brain, right? Broken Voice almost made it to one of my favorites, but I decided what I liked best about it was the ideas, and that there were others where, even though we've got some good images right through here, there are other poems that have even stronger use of language. So I picked those as my official 3 favorites, but this one was a close runner-up. I liked this stanza about life too, though. It kind of goes with your sense of humor, you know, and your quirky eye for detail. The playing with stanza shape here, these are called tercets when you have 3 lines per stanza. It was really nice to see you try something like that out. And somehow for me it fits the idea of a forest. There's something stately about it, and I think that the tercet is one of the more stately forms of stanza. This was one of my favorites. Grade A, the first letter of the alphabet. Your imagination just dug in here, came up with so much great stuff for this guy. Even C can kind of understand. He may be stressed, but nobody can imagine a world without A. That's just great. I think you should send all 3 of these. I'll be talking about how to do this when we get back together in class and as we approach the end of the semester, especially how to submit things to the campus literary magazine so it could have a chance at being published. I think there's real originality here, and I think it would be accepted and published, and you could share it with all your big fan club. All right, Ian, this is another good one about your name. All the great details. I just love it. There's real sadness here, real gritty honesty, not ever feeling safe in your home. And at the same time, you've got lighter things, right? I'm going to win this frickin' game. And even if I do not, the other player will sure as hell be tired and the piece is worn down. There's a sense of strength and confidence in this that really comes through, as well as the suffering. This feeling right here, what do I have to do to get by one more week? Even if this is specific to your life and you're living in this particular home at this particular stage of your life, I think a lot of people can relate to that just because of what we're all going through with the limitations of COVID and the constant anxiety about it. So I think this is also one that a lot of people would connect to really, really quite deeply. Fantasy is another great one. The cigarette ash hits the ground. I love this image of the tooth fairy as like this haggard old witch, right? Like, down at the bar. Lonely men buy her drinks. She accepts, but she can't ever be with anyone. She has a job to do. Yeah. I love how gritty this one is. This was another close call for one of my favorites. Playing with the white space. Again, you really are trying out all the techniques. I appreciate it so much. And you find something that goes with that technique so that we're really feeling your ability to make the form match the content. And that's an essential quality for a poet to have. Greed is full of tremendous details. I would play around with line breaks more here. I think it could say a lot more with its line breaks. Money is your parents arguing every single night, making ends meet. Money is the dust in the air. Children breathe in mines to survive. The big machines tearing down acres of woods are money. All of those details, really strong. The ramen in the pantry. Everybody's going to get that detail, right? The attention of the entire planet. It's a dark note to end on, but it does our era proud because you're being honest about all the things we really need to take a look at here. So your overall grade for this is an A-. But to be honest, no, I'm going to erase that minus. I think it's just an A. I think it's that good. Take it back. Dude, excellent job. Feel free to ask any questions or come to office hours if there was any of the marginal stuff here that you can't read because of my freaking handwriting. But thanks so much for such a great job.